All right, I think we can start now. So, welcome everybody to the second breakout session, and particularly this breakout session is about the logistics data space. I'm sorry for the bit of the delay that we have. I mean, we had quite a remarkable live event with numerous participants, so I hope everybody just grab the coffee and we're good to go now. So, what's up next for this breakout session? So we have like 2 items on the agenda. So first we will have another look of the logistics data space in the silicon economy, where we will follow up on the C-parts management use case that you may have seen in the morning in the data spaces in action session. And then next is a particular data sharing use case in supply chain management, which will deal with supply chain risk management. Yeah, so that's on the agenda. So a few organizational remarks from my side. We have limited, due to technical reason, limited opportunities to have you speaking here. So we would like to interact with you, but I kindly ask you to do that via the chat box on the right-hand side. So I will observe the chat box all the time, and if there's questions, I'll bring them to the attention of the speakers. And second is we have prepared some questions that we will show during the presentations to get your opinion on things. So please feel free to share your comments in the chat box and yeah, so interact with us. So that's what this session is about. All right, so I would like to introduce you then to the first speaker, Emanuel Escobovios. He will present the C-parts case that you may have seen in the morning a bit more in depth. So, Emanuel, stage is yours.
Thank you, Martin, for your introduction. I will just share my screen, and I hope you can see it right now. Oops.
I can't. Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay. Yeah, Emanuel Escobovios, also from Fraunhofer Institute of Material Flow and Logistics in Dortmund, and I would like to give you our view about data ecosystems in the domain of logistics, and we call them silicon economy. And this is actually also a project funded by the Federal Ministry of Transport and Digital Infrastructure, and we're doing this together with the Fraunhofer ISST. And yeah, what you should consider with these terms, silicon economy, is that we build on an open, agile, and intelligent infrastructure for logistic platforms of the future. And you are all experts on the topic of data ecosystems. Then you also know in the next years, services and business models, also in logistics, are definitely based on data and data-driven, and are data-driven, and they based also on platforms. And here, our understanding is that in the future, you will have not just one ecosystem or one platform. You will have diversity of coexistent different logistics platforms, and they should be interoperable together, and all sizes of companies, especially SMEs, should be able to participate in these ecosystems and run their logistic businesses here in best way automatically. And the goal of the project is now to enable companies to participate here. And we are doing this by providing a set of software and hardware components in an environment that you are able to build on them AI-driven logistics of tomorrow. And yeah, of course, we will consider the topics also mentioned in the morning of data sovereignty, of data protection, and exactly this should be enabled in the project. And you can also say it's a common language what we would like to give to logistics, because a language is free, a language is open, everyone can use it and can operate with language. And here we would like also give for the logistics and operating systems for a platform economy, and this should be free as much as possible as yeah. And again, this should be we should develop the language of the logistics in the future. If you still ask what is now silicon economy, I would like to give you an deeper view. But first, a big picture. How does it look? As we had it in the morning too, this is our big picture, and what you see is the real world on the bottom, the sensors, the trucks, etc. They should be connected towards the companies and via brokering with cloud computing, digital platform, other data, public data, which you can find in the digital world. And if we go further, this in core is not just one system or something like this, definitely not. It's a lot of different services, components, soft and hardware, and we would like to provide infrastructure services and infrastructure software and hardware components in our silicon economy repository. And this repository should also include types of broker functionalities to connect the different items here to one ecosystem, such as the IoT broker, logistics broker, blockchain broker. And if you look in the middle here, you for every platform or for every logistics data ecosystems, you pick a set of services or a set of components out of these world, and you perform your own supply chain based on these services. And for this example, I would give you an example how this orchestration could look like. And I picked one of our projects inside the project Silicon Economy, the supply chain execution case. And I would like to go into detail here. Supply chain execution, we identified one supply chain close connected to our lab partners in our institute, and we identified that a C-part supply chain will be our first case to study how we develop the connectivity throughout the supply chain and the partners. Yeah, the motivation was why do we spend time for whatever, for searching in warehouses, searching for where my shipment is or the order, or reordering missing parts. And this costs time. This is a latency of communication, and we would like to reduce this by better connectivity, definitely. And why is what's the reason? Maybe we only know the shop floor. We only know the bottom. We know our physical processes, and we do not know the world above. Maybe in parts, but not at all. And yeah, our supply chain, our C-part supply chain is split into a part of a supplier, providing parts to a customer, and in between we do have logistics service providers, we have a C-part management, and we have also probably system providers who are providing, in our case, a repacking station, or service providers within the warehouse, for example. And all of them should be connected to an ecosystem by these dots, and these dots representing the IDS connectors. And we would like to implement the connectivity via these connectors. And also we're introducing broker functionality to set up these, or to unfold these connections between the partners. And on the top, we put some, or identified some services which we would like to develop within our project, open source, where you can see how these data are then visible within services. And these services can be different ones. I will pick out just one. And also it's possible to connect public data. And if you have this picture, then this is an example, for my understanding at least, of a logistics platform, of a data ecosystem. And then we're a bit more happy. Okay, let's look into the C-part management again. As you might realized in the morning, this picture is nothing else than I showed before. It showed the connectivity that we enabled with the IDS connectors with our partners, with our lab partners here. We have, as I said, a logistics service provider on board, C-parts management, sensors from a repacking station, and as Martin already told you, with the Commerzbank, a financial service. And we are happy to do the steps to connect them and provide them services based on these connectivity, based on these first connectivity. Our first approach is what we are doing currently within the project is to collect data from these different partners along the supply chain. As you can see, we are connecting ETA data from the logistics service provider, scanning events from the repacking station when it's an order ready, and then the C-parts management provides us with the data about the Kanban order along the C-parts. So to say there is an empty box, please provide the refilling of the box. And we collect these data, and at the first step, we just make them visible on a dashboard for inventory tracking, where we just showed, okay, what are the orders along the supply chain, and link them to all the events occurred to the supply chain. And this is the easy first step we took. And at the end, we came up with a dashboard, hopefully, which is giving another view, another monitoring along the supply chain, which was currently not available along all the partners along the supply chain. Okay, then I can again say become part of the community. I would like to invite you to ask questions about the case, about the silicon economy. I'm happy to answer. I'm happy to get in touch. Thank you for listening. And here we are. Are there comments or questions in the chat, Martin?
Yeah, closely observing the chat. So again, encouraging all of you, please ask your questions now. Meanwhile, I would have a question, Emmanuel. So
Great.
if you could just jump back to the last picture that, yeah, one more. So
This one.
yeah, either one. So one of the question is, yeah, you're now connecting sorts of different data sources and types of data in the supply chain. Why would you need the international data spaces for that? So can that not be done in the, I think, the usual way? So what's the data governance, data sovereignty, usage control part in the game?
Yeah. So by now, the usage control part is a bit underestimated within the project. It's because we would like to make the first steps, and the first steps is the connectivity. But we considered usage control as, or it's not usage control, we consider data sovereignty as a crucial part within these ecosystems, since here in this case, all the partners, they know each other, they work, they collaborate with each other, but they would like to be able to act in these supply chains also in a way that they easily integrate other service providers into such an ecosystem, into such a supply chain. And if you come to this point that everything should be replaceable, and you do not have the trust to along all the partners of the supply chain with the data concerning the data, then you should be able to involve or to get usage control of your data. And this is why we definitely have this in mind. But in the first step, we use the IDS connector for the connectivity. But for the first step, the usage control, it's not part, but you can definitely imagine that usage control can be used to say, okay, not all the events should always run through the dashboard, just if you really need them, or the estimated time of arrival coming from a logistics service provider. Is it really needed that all the partners and especially the C-part management are at all the time able to look at these data, or is it just necessary to alert them in a case of an event, of a crucial part, and just if the estimated time of arrival is not in time, you should alert them. Something like this is then much better possible.
Okay, thank you. If I understood you right, we're building on a community of organizations that are already business partners, so there's trust involved from the very start. And this is why we have the opportunity to build up a basic component for data sharing, and then later on add the usage control and complement the trust that is already there between the business partners by technical means. All right.
Yeah, not starting with the hard part, starting with the easy ones. And
yeah, I'd say connectivity can be a hard part as well. So,
true.
All right. There's questions popping up in the chat box, so thanks for that. Emmanuel, if you could please go to page 10. There's a question on page 10. So, and the question is, in the repository, is there a special reason that there is a smart contract in the middle of the picture?
A special reason, now we consider that smart contracts can also be operated via blockchain brokers in such ecosystems. I don't know. I have to say sorry that I'm not really sure if they. So what we have as a partner project to the Silicon Economy, there is the European blockchain project, and within this project, smart contracts they are core, and since we are working close together and they working towards the same standards, the same repository, this part of the project will bring up more insights into what we mean with smart contracting here in such data ecosystems. But I can provide you later on with additional information if you like.
Yeah. So thank you, Emmanuel. So I think that was a well pointer to the blockchain institute that is being established in Dortmund. And so the repository will also feature like templates for smart contracts out of another project. As I said in the morning, we have a couple of publicly funded initiatives that we all put under this umbrella of the Silicon Economy. So there is activity. If you remember the big picture, there's also the smart contract and blockchain part where this relates to. All right. Let me check if there's another question. Yeah, thanks, Emmanuel. You've been reached. You will. Someone will reach out to you
Yes.
for further information. Yeah. All right. Are there any other questions? No, that's not the case. So then I'll take the opportunity to bring up our next speaker. So let me please share that slide again. I hope you can see the agenda again now. So it's my pleasure now to go to the second part of our breakout session and introduce Maria Linnertz from the University of Aachen to you, and she will present the ideas of supply chain risk management. So a warm welcome to her, and glad you're here. The stage is yours.
Thank you very much. I will just change to my slides.
Yeah, looks good.
It's working. Okay. So first of all, I would like to thank you, Martin and Emmanuel, for inviting us and giving us the opportunity to participate today in this session. I will start by briefly introducing myself and our institute. My name is Maria Linnertz. I'm a project manager at the Institute for Industrial Management at RWTH Aachen University. And together with me, Svenja Marek, my colleague, is here in this session today. And we are happy to participate today. So let me briefly show you what our institute is working on. We are an affiliated institute at RWTH Aachen. We have around 70 employees, and we work on all kinds of projects that are related to the digital integration of the economy. And to get a little bit deeper into this, as I already said, our goal is the digitalization of the companies, and for that we are working on three main aspects. So first of all, there's the digital strategy, where we ask ourselves, like, what is the foundation for digital transformation, and how can new business models be integrated, and questions like that. And then the next important aspect are the digital operations and the workflows. And in this part, we are working on questions that regard the different processes that can be digitalized, or and also find out what are the challenges in digitalizing processes and how can the potentials be reached. And the last aspect are the digital technologies that kind of serve as the foundation for digitalization, and we are asking ourselves what are which technologies are suitable and how can they be used. And this also shows quite good the connection to the IDS, because the IDS plays an enormous role in all of these three aspects, and it offers new possibilities. And that's also why we at our institute work on different projects that are related to the IDS, and that's why we are happy to be part of this event today. Yeah, and I want to introduce a use case that pretty much fits in well with what Emmanuel already explained, and kind of it has the same big picture as the silicon economy. But right now I would like to focus on tracking and tracing data, and then explain how we think this links to risk management, and how the IDS can be used within risk management to improve risk management within supply chains. So first of all, we have the current situation that companies are part of really complex supply chains and work together with lots of different partners, and can also be part of different supply chains. And within this networks, it's really important to increase the transparency, and especially in the area of tracking and tracing, it's important for companies to gain transparency over different over the material flow and the objects that are transferred from one company to another. So companies might want to know if an order has already been shipped, or where the truck is located that contains the order, or when a certain part will be delivered. And for that, real-time monitoring is required that processes tracking and tracing data. And currently, there's no solution that enables an integrated intercompany tracking and tracing across different companies and even across different supply chains. So that's basically what we see on the left side of the slide, is that there are different solutions where some companies worked on a connection and try to implement different services. For example, some of you might have implemented an EDI connection to a supplier, and yeah, it always takes a lot of implementation effort to establish a certain link. And all of these links are basically standalone solutions, and it can be the case that for one company that wants to connect with different partners within its supply chain, it's necessary to implement different of these solutions, and for each of these connections, a certain implementation effort is needed. And this is basically where the international data space comes into this vision, because we see the IDS as a solution for an integrated intercompany tracking and tracing. And I want to explain a little bit more why we think that the IDS can be a good solution in that case. So for the connection or the sharing of tracking and tracing data with over the IDS, each of the companies would have to implement only one connection using an IDS connector, and then the data can be shared flexible and also based on the individual demand of the companies. And also, once these connections have been established, different services can be implemented as well that use the same data, and the need for establishing new connections for each of these services would be reduced. And once the company is connected to the IDS, the data can be used by several actors, and the individual data exchange format wouldn't be necessary anymore. And one main aspect that we already heard in the talk of Emmanuel is that the data sovereignty is an important advantage of the IDS. So for sure, different tracking and tracing data are really sensitive. So each company would need to decide with whom to share the data, and make sure that the data is only shared if the terms are agreed on. So I already said that there are different services that can be performed on tracking and tracing data, especially if the companies are connected to the IDS. And in the following, I would like to go a little bit deeper into the service of risk management. And for that, I would like to first explain a little bit why supply chain risk management is really important, and what are the different challenges that are faced when companies try to perform risk management across their whole supply chain. As you probably all experienced during the last couple of months, it's really important for successful risk management to be able to fast adapt to different changes. And once disturbances are detected, it's really important to act as soon as possible. And we, as the FIR, have been working on risk management for quite some time, but during the last couple of months, we have really intensified our work on risk management. For example, we're working on right now we're working on a study that is focusing on identifying different strategies in order to successfully design resilient supply chains. Maybe Svenja Marek can post a link in the chat if some of you are interested in our study that we are performing there. You can also have a look on the link. And as I already said, it's really important to be able to fast adapt to different events and different disturbances. And as you can see on the left-hand side, the process from when an event occurs until a countermeasure really takes effect is structured along different latencies that occur within this process. So first of all, the data after an event occurs, the data that tells you that this event has happened need to be visible, and after that, there's still some time needed to analyze this data in order to then be able to decide what to do. And even after this time, it usually still takes some time until the countermeasure or the action really takes effect. So all in all, there are 4 different latencies that add up and hinder fast adaptations. And this is especially important in supply chain management, as these processes not only happen in one company, but different companies and the processes within the different companies affect one another. And especially in risk management, tracking and tracing data can improve fast actions, but currently the disturbances along the supply chain are often not identified early on because data is not shared between different partners. And one example, what happens if the data is not shared, is shown on this slide, where we have different partners in the supply chain. And I will first want to focus on the manufacturer that you can see here in the middle. And he orders different parts from supplier B. And the supplier B also orders material from supplier A. And we here demonstrated a case that is somehow linked to the Corona crisis, because if supplier A is located in Asia and due to Corona he experienced a lockdown, he first has to decide what to do in this kind of case. So he goes through the different steps on deciding what countermeasure to take, but he already he decides to share this data with his supplier B only after he takes some countermeasures. So that's the case that we see the data latency for supplier B is already quite long because the data wasn't shared in the beginning. And then the thing happens again because supplier B runs through the whole process of deciding what to do with the information that supplier A can't deliver the necessary materials. And once he decided or figured out that he won't be able to deliver the products to the manufacturer, he informs the manufacturer. And that's where the second adding up of latencies happens. So only after both of these suppliers have run through the whole process of deciding on countermeasures, manufacturer A gets the information and can decide what to do. So this example pretty much shows that if data is not shared right in advance, the times for the response times really add up. And this is just one example that shows that data sharing and risk management can really be beneficial for the different partners. And now I would like to explain how this this problem basically can be improved by using the IDS. So we have here the different actors again that we already had in the example before, and they are all creating or collecting their tracking and tracing data and the data from the production in their own databases, and they are also connected via the IDS connectors and can then decide which data they share and which data can be used for the risk management aspect. So, for example, we see that maybe the supplier who has the production stop doesn't want to share this data with the manufacturer. However, he wants to share the information that the order might be delayed. So by using the IDS, the data can be analyzed and aggregated, and only the relevant or aggregated information can be shared with the other supply chain partners. Yes, and once this connection has been established with the tracking and tracing data, there are other services that can be performed. For example, there could be some kind of supply chain event management or some ETA analysis, or even other aspects that focus more on capacity collaborations or forecasting collaborations. And this can all be possible if all the different actors use the same connector and share their data that they generate. Okay. Yes, and with this, we would like to get into a discussion with you. We will soon share different questions via the questionnaire tool. Yes, and we would like to hear from you what is your experience in risk management? Do you consider risks that arise from your supply chain? Are there any challenges in implementing the intercompany risk management? Which data do you share with your partners? Or what other services would be interesting for you? And I think we can, start the question. Okay.
Oh, all right. So now you should see the questions in the screen instead of the presentation. So yeah, please do vote. And please keep on asking questions in the chat box. If you haven't followed it, there's an ongoing discussion on legal contracts and smart contracts. Yeah, but I'm quite happy we have some lawyers in this session. So yeah, we have the experts right here.
Okay. We'll just wait a couple more seconds and see if some more participants will vote. I think right now.
Yeah, still some votes coming in. Keep on going.
Okay. I think I can share the results. I think you should all see the results now. We see that most of the ones who voted, consider different risks that arise from their supply chains. And I think we can add the second question. Okay. Yeah. If you've tried to implement intercompany risk management, there are probably different challenges that have occurred. You can choose also more than one challenge if more of these challenges have occurred to you. Okay. Yeah, we quite nicely see here that the fear of data misuse or the lack of trust is a big challenge, and that's exactly where the IDS can yeah, help improve. Yeah.
I would be interested what other means. So if you have a chance and if you would like to put like your description of what other means in the chat box, yeah, that would be a good insight as well. Yeah, for sure, that's optional. I'll keep watching the chat. So is there another question coming up?
I think we have 2 more questions. Okay. Oh, I think there's the first 2 answers are mixed. Yes, we will just like say that the A answer is belongs to no, and if you exchange data with your supply chain partners, just choose the B option. Okay. I think we can probably go on to the next question. So, yeah, this. Okay, with this question we have a really mixed result. So all of the other possible services are relevant for some of you, and there's not one that really stands out. Yeah, that kind of links to the vision of the Silicon economy, I think, to provide lots of different services for different partners within the supply chain. Okay, I think that were all our questions that we prepared in advance. Are there any other questions? Were there any questions asked during the presentation?
We haven't had any questions yet.
Okay.
But there was a vivid discussion on smart legal contracts that may have distracted the attention a bit in the chat box.
Okay.
So yeah, I also tried to call some people from the audience in. Yeah, but that's fine. Yeah, so maybe I can ask a question. Yeah, that would be my first question. So who to turn to? If questions arise afterwards. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and maybe one last question to the supply chain risk management. I mean, we've seen the results of the that we just gathered from the audience, and there was no particular use case really dominating. So does that surprise you? Because you may have with coming with supply chain risk management in mind, you could have expected that this was a prominent case. So how do you see that?
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that it was so evened out between the different options. I think risk management is important for lots of companies, especially right now. But that's also the really nice aspect. If one can manage to get this different tracking and tracing data, that it's then possible to perform different analysis on this data and be able to provide different services. I think that's also a really nice result. That it's important to first create this kind of transparency and then be able to perform different tasks on this data.
Okay, thanks. There is a question in the chat box now. So you've mentioned earlier on EDI standards, and here's a question that says, what is the role of UN CEFAC standards? So would you be in a position to comment on that?
I can make a comment on that, since we worked on this too. In our project, we just identified that the APIs we based on partly on the data we based on, they are already in this standard, and therefore we do not really need to consider. You can use this standard still in these ecosystems. This is not that we need new formats or new standards.
Yeah, confirmation from the audience on the chat box. Yeah. All right, and Emmanuel, that brings me maybe to another question. So the UN CEFAC, that is kind of like standardizing the payload. So what is in the content of the messages on the data exchange, but the IDS does standardization on another level, right?
Yes, you are free to use it or not. Yeah.
Okay, so all the EDI standards that also Maria mentioned are not. So you can use all of them with the IDS, along with the IDS.
Yeah, you definitely.
All right. Any more questions? Oh, there's a new question. I'm going to ask this question to the two of you. Are you also aware of Phoenix and federated projects? So I can say for myself, I'm not.
Me neither.
Me neither.
So if you could provide a link in the chat box, I mean that would be of benefit to all of the audience. I can also unmute you and call you in if you would like. I mean, we have a
Great.
Okay.
There's a connection.
Oh yeah, there's the link. Yeah, thanks for that. Looking at the time, I think it's also now time to come to an end of today's session. We have the links in the chat box, and So now we have learned. I hope you got a little bit more insight on our two topics, on the C-parts management case that Emmanuel presented in the context of the silicon economy, and second, in supply chain risk management and the practical challenges that Maria talked about. So yeah, if you have further questions, please don't hesitate to contact them. I assume you're on LinkedIn and social media. Yeah, so that's it for today. Thanks for your attention. Thanks for being part of that session, and see you around soon. And thanks for the audience to have that vivid discussion in the chat box. So goodbye and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.